Hi there fellow guitarists, my name is Josh Rogers, welcome to MBN Guitar. In this lesson, I'm going to teach you how to play Stand By Me by Benny King, but I'm not going to just rush you through it because I want to help you make your chord changes easier and faster, your counting better, tricky sections more manageable, and give you tips to improve your memorization. I know what it's like to deep dive into a song only to end up ruining the flow by slowing down, or worse, coming to a complete stop when you have to do chord changes. I've lost track of where I am and missed my counting, so trust me when I say, I've been where you've been. The lesson is divided into 9 sections: chords, chord progression, difficult bars, picking and strumming, counting a basic rhythm, counting a dotted rhythm, form, memorization tips, and putting it all together. If you want to just learn the song and you don't need any tips because you've mastered all the stuff, then just skip to about 3 minutes before the end of the video to see me play it through from beginning to end. Chords. Before learning a new song, it is good practice to know what chords are in the song before we try to play it. The 4 chords in this song are G, E minor, C, D7. Depending on your current knowledge, you may be looking at the chords I've shown you and thinking to yourself, those aren't the chord shapes I know. A chord only needs to have 3 different notes, and all of these chord shapes meet that criteria. 3 of these chords are inversions, however we don't need to concern ourselves with that at the moment. All of these chords can be played using only the first 3 strings. They don't sound as full as the regular chords, however, they provide a quicker and easier way to learn the song. As you get better, you can swap these chords for their fuller versions. Chord progression or chord changes. In this song, the G and E minor chords are played for 2 bars each, and the C and D7 chords are played for 1 bar each. A common issue faced by beginners is changing chords. Using 3 techniques, pivoting, preparation, and guiding, will make our chord changes easier, faster, and more accurate. G to E minor. Only lift the 3rd finger slightly. Don't do this. E minor to C. During the E minor, we have time to prepare our 1st finger above the C note to increase our chances of hitting the right note at the right time. C to D7. Prepare the 2nd and 3rd fingers above the 1st and 3rd strings. Pivot with the 1st finger on the 1st fret of the B string, like this. D7 back to G. Guide the 3rd finger from the 2nd fret to the 3rd fret on the 1st string. Don't lift it off. Difficult bars. A lot of songs are usually quite straightforward in that they use the same chords and chord progression from beginning to end. However, even songs like these may have a tricky chord change tucked away inside that innocent looking progression. In this progression, the main challenge is the C to D7. Why? It's because it's the only place in the song where the chords change after 1 bar, and it's the only chord change that requires 2 fingers to be placed on the fretboard at the same time. My advice is to practice this chord change many times without playing. Just focus on using preparation and pivoting. This way of practicing uses the 80-20 rule, also known as Pareto's principle. Our way of interpreting that for guitar study is spending most of your time looking through songs, searching for those hard sections, isolating them, determine why they are hard, and formulating a strategy to make that part easier. Here's how I analyzed Stand By Me. I looked at the chord progression and knew that the C to D7 was the most difficult chord change because of the rate of harmonic change, i.e. I only get one bar before the change, and the relative complexity of the D7 chord. So I isolate that change, which is to use preparation to get my second and third fingers ready before they're needed, and pivoting with the first finger so I don't have to take it off just to put it back down exactly where it just was. Picking and strumming. Picking involves using the thumb, index and middle fingers to play the notes all at the same time. The thumb moves downwards and plays any note that occurs on the G string. Index moves towards the palm and plays any note on the B string. Middle also moves towards the palm and plays any note on the E string. Here are a few tips. Don't use your whole hand. Keep it steady. Don't do this. Relax your fingertips. Strumming. Strumming is different to picking because usually just one finger or a pick is used to brush across some or all of the strings in either an upward or downward motion. Strumming is usually associated more with acoustic guitars like this one than classical and electric guitars, although it is certainly acceptable to strum any guitar at any time. Strumming also sounds different to picking because individual notes are more difficult to distinguish, and there is a percussive hint that accompanies the strum. Let's use our index finger to strum by flicking it out like this. Push through the strings downwards towards the ground. Look at the tabs and you will see a staple-shaped symbol above the notes. This symbol represents a down strum, which means your strumming finger moves towards the ground. At this stage, just focus on flicking your finger out, pulling it back and keeping your hand steady. Counting a basic rhythm. When counting the bars that use the G chord, I count the first bar 1, 2, 3, 4. However, when I count the next bar, I begin with a 2. Why? Starting with a 2, for example, 2, 2, 3, 4, helps me keep track of how many bars I've played that chord for. It can be quite challenging to remember where we are in songs, so by counting in this way, we greatly increase the probability of remembering where we are. I will play exercise 1, counting a basic rhythm. We keep the strumming to 1 strum per bar for ease of playing. Counting a dotted rhythm. Next, we have a new rhythm that I believe fits the feel of the song more appropriately. The rhythm is a dotted crotchet followed by a quaver tied to a minim. In this instance, it is best to count 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. We add the ands to make it easier to track where the quaver that we have to strum on occurs. This is important because it falls on an and, or between the beats. I will play exercise 2, counting along as I play. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. It's important to break things down into simpler ideas if something seems too difficult. If we're struggling, try these tactics. Just tap the guitar's soundboard instead of strumming, accenting the beats where we should strum or pick. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Replace tapping with strumming or picking without chords. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Introduce just one chord. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Then try maybe C. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Introduce all of the chords gradually. Remember that we can choose to either strum or pick this rhythm. We can also mix the two styles together by strumming some bars and picking other bars. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. The form of a song can be thought of as a guide on how the song has been assembled. Learning the form helps us to map the song in our minds and makes it much easier to remember. Here's an example. Intro, verse, chorus, solo or bridge, chorus. There are many variations, however, the vast majority of songs' forms look very similar to this. Intro 8 bars, first verse 16 bars, chorus 8 bars, second verse 16 bars, chorus 8 bars, solo 16 bars, chorus 8 bars with a fade out. Memorization tips. This might seem daunting, but if we look closely, we can see the 2 verses have 16 bars each, 2 choruses have 8 bars each, the intro is 8 bars, and the final chorus is 8 bars that fades out. Because the chord progressions never change, we could make the form even simpler. Chorus 8, verse 16, chorus 8, verse 16, chorus 8, verse 16, chorus 8. Dividing a song into these bigger chunks can be a much easier way of remembering a song. If we refine it even further, we can see that it is essentially one pattern repeated 3 times, plus a chorus at the end. Sometimes singing along can really help because you can use the words to help you keep track of where you are. However, this may also make things worse because you also have to concentrate on singing the right words at the right time and playing the guitar. As we all know, memorizing a song can be a massive challenge because there's a lot going on with chords, chord changes, and the form. So a pro tip that I often use when charting a song, which is writing a song out on paper or in your iPad or in your computer or your phone, is to write the first words of each verse and or chorus in the form as memory triggers. For example, we've got the intro of 8 bars, verse 16 bars, then I write, when the night, and chorus 8, darling, darling, verse 16, if the skies, chorus 8, darling, darling, solo 16, chorus 8, darling, darling. As time passes and your skills improve, you will develop your own system of memorizing songs that works for you. Putting it all together, yeah. Before we put it all together, I want to let you know that I have a great course for beginner players that are struggling with things like sore fingers, changing chords, lack of motivation, theory and music reading challenges, counting and staying in time with music, and much, much more. I've been through all that myself, and so have many of the thousands of students that I have taught personally in groups and online over the past 30 years as a teacher and performer. 30 years. Whew. I know what it's like to have sore fingers, miss notes, play a chord and wonder why it sounds as if your guitar is broken. The Essentials Primer for Beginners addresses all of those things and provides solid advice gathered from my years of playing, teaching, and sharing stages with many incredible musicians in New Zealand and around the world. With more than 180 professionally recorded video lessons, a course ebook, quizzes, and checklists to assess and challenge your progress, this course can get you serious results and transform the way you play and approach learning guitar and music. As you travel through the course, your character will level up from snivelling beginner underling to a shining golden exemplar that wields control over the basic fundamentals of guitar wizardry with impunity. Click the link here or in the description to access all of the first module's incredible lessons, quizzes, checklist, and coursebook absolutely free. Putting it all together. We'll play from the beginning to the end together, and then I'll leave it up to you to practice in your own time. Let your fingers fly. When the night has come and the land is dark and the moon is the only light we'll see, no, I won't be afraid, no, I won't be afraid, just as long as you stand by me. So darling, darling, stand by me, oh, stand by me, oh, stand by me, stand by me. If the sky that we look upon should tumble and fall, or the mountain should crumble to the sea, I won't cry, I won't cry, no, I won't shed a tear, just as long as you stand by me. And darling, darling, stand by me, oh, stand by me, just as long you stand by me. So darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Stand by me. Whenever you're in trouble, won't you stand by me? Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand now. Stand by